Welcome. Today I'm at Randolph Air Force Base in San Antonio. I'm standing next to Major General Pulse Wills, who when I was active duty was my boss's 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 boss, so hopefully this goes well. But Major General Wills is in charge of over 32,000 people, 1,600 aircraft spread across 22 locations, and today he's going to tell us how we've reimagined pilot training.
Thanks, Hazard. It's great to see you. It's great that you were able to come out here and spend the time with us, and we really appreciate it. You know, we had this great idea about 3 years ago, and the idea was really simple. Is the way we've always done it going to be good enough in the 21st century? And you're a 5th-gen pilot, and you know that the threats that are out there are different. And the simple fact of the matter is that our pilot training system hasn't changed in about 6 decades when you really get back down to it. So we started, General Steve Quast was the commander of AETC. He had a really simple charter to the team. He said, grab some great young officers and airmen. Let's give them some authority, some empowerment, and let's go see if they can find a way to train pilots in half the time and make the same quality or a better pilot using advanced technology. And so Pilot Training Next was born. We've run 3 classes through the Pilot Training Next program. It's run by our own Detachment 24 right here at Randolph, and we use the T6 aircraft as a trainer. Now, a lot of people think that the T6 is just a turboprop. There's not much to think about, but as you found out, it's a pretty great little airplane. And particularly, we used an advanced version of the T6 with better avionics and better tools. And so we started something about a year ago called UPT 2.5. The 2.5 is really simple. If you flew T-37s and T-38s, that was 1.0. Our current system is 2.0. And so this is 2.5 because we know it's the first step towards a really reimagined pilot training system. And 2.5 is really just trying to apply the key lessons from Pilot Training Next. The first one is the idea that instructor pilots are the core of our training system. You know this as an IP. The simple fact is that this command in particular rides on the backs of our instructors who are making a difference every day. The next is this idea that our technology might, just might, in the world's greatest and most technologically advanced country, we just might be able to do better than issuing you a poster and a checklist and telling you to pretend you're flying. All around the world right now, tens of thousands of people are teaching themselves to fly using simulators and technology that they've acquired off the shelf and built at home. So the question is, could we use immersive technology like virtual reality, like advanced simulation systems? Could we turn those into military training devices? And the answer is yeah, you bet we can. And we've been able to build these low-cost simulators for a fraction of the cost. The third idea was the fact that all of us learn a little bit differently. Student-centric learning, we call it, but you would know that as really just being a good instructor and tailoring your instructional methods to the student that you have, not the student that you want. The next idea was the idea that seamless access to content. You live in a wireless world, but you have very much a wired Air Force. And so almost everybody has a smartphone, they have Bluetooth, everything in their home connects. But today in our training systems, virtually nothing connects. And so we think that there's a better way. And one of the ways we want to get after that is with cloud-based learning systems. We want to have on-demand, on-command content that reflects the way that people really learn and live. And then the final idea we're trying to implement is the idea of human performance. We know that our technological edge is shrinking. We know that our adversaries are acquiring better and better stuff. And we know that the future fight is going to be won like it always is by our warriors. And what happens between their ears, the way that they think, the way that they plan, the way that they can react and drive the fight is going to be fundamental. And so as we roll all of this into our new syllabus, our new training system, that's what UPT 2.5 is all about. Do you want to make the most out of every flight hour you have or not? Do you want to step to the flight line on day one prepared to fly the airplane, or do you want to spend a whole bunch of sorties watching somebody else show you so you can do? And since we've adopted VR in these programs, the students go out there and on day one they're flying the airplane and they're doing, not watching. To me, the VR is just an advancement of chair flying, and how do you get after that? And the way that we see the results, by the way, is that in Pilot Training Next we had students that soloed on their 4th sortie in the T6. It's not because the VR puts magic in your head. It's because they had put hours and hours and hours practicing in a very realistic situation. And so when you talk about what difference does it make, it's not that we want to cut those hours. It's that if I can have you solo on ride 4, imagine what I can do with you between ride 4 and ride 44.
We're going to show you a little bit about what the ecosystem is here when we talk about innovation in AETC. It's the same software, P3D, running here, and you can load it up. So right now, you know, your viewers on YouTube can load up the same exact things that we're flying. They can fly to E6, or they can load up to a T1, to a C-17, to a 737, right? It's already built into the ecosystem. It's for play, right? And so it can be used for fun, or it can just be for training.
So if you look at this ITD, this is the screen that the instructor looks at when we're flying. That functionality is OBS, and what we're recording is we're recording our instant parameters. We're going to be recording aspect angle from a God's eye 3D view above. From the right screen, that's going to be what you're looking at actually in the VR, and we're taking our videos to instruct and debrief, and we're saving those, and that's what we're watching here. So this is the 1.5 HAGs. On the left, you're going to have game plan and DLOs. You're going to have our 3D view with aspect. This is the parameters we'd be showing the student, and this is what physically the student or the instructor is looking at when they're looking at the HUD. So one time through, this starts off 4 aspect at 1800
What speed is he at?
He's at 220 knots if you look here.
Yeah.
Fights on, he drives to the turn circle. This is what he's physically looking at. If you look here, that is what he's looking at outside. If you watch this, his airspeed's at 200 knots. He took out Fox 2. At this point, he's transitioning after the HAGs to an energy fight at 230 knots. He's rating, he has him just above the canopy bow. His range is collapsing. If you look at it, he's going from 1,300 to 1,200 feet. At this point, he's entered the control zone. Now he's transitioning to a nose fight, and he's going for a gun attempt inside 500 feet. And that's what it looks like through the paper.
Okay.
Our craft, our comprehensive readiness for aircrew flying training from the very beginning. Let's assess your performance as a human. Let's give you the tools to get stronger physically. Let's give you the tools to get stronger mentally. Let's use a coach-athlete relationship. We're sending you out to an environment where you're going to pull 9 Gs, you're going to go twice the speed of sound. Why don't we treat you like a professional athlete, and let's provide a coach. And remember, coaches have standards, and coaches, you know, people get cut from athletic teams all the time. So there are some people that worry we're lowering the standards. Not the case. Let's make our humans better from day one.
Yeah, we just got a chance to go there and throw tennis balls with the blinking lights. Have you had a chance to do that? How'd you do?
It turns out I'm not as good at the blinking lights and the tennis balls as I'd like to be.
Me
So
neither.
I'll attribute that to my age, but it's a great way of pointing out that the reality is the human mind can be trained.
This is one of the tools that they use here to help me explain what's going on. I have Liz.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
Yeah, so I'm one of the cognitive performance specialists here at Randolph. We train not just the physical side, but also the mental side. So this is some of the technology we use here. We have iPads, and what this is doing is measuring Hazard's heart rate and also his heart rate variability. That gives us a nice picture into the actual physiological reactions that he has, not just in the gym, but in any stressful situation. So the dot right here shows us essentially his coherence level. What coherence means is that's a balance between, again, that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So you can see right now he's doing a pretty good job of keeping his physiology under control. Now you see he just dropped into the blue zone. That means we're going a little bit further out of coherence. And if we get into the red zone, that means that typically folks are pretty discombobulated and we see a pretty steep decline in their mental performance. So that's one of the skills we teach right away to make sure that pilots are using these skills not just in the gym, but in the cockpit as well.
Thanks, Liz.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Well, sir, thanks for having us out here. This has been a fantastic experience. The T6B is revolutionary. I went into this thinking it was just going to be a T6 with a HUD, and it's completely different because, as we were talking about before, when I graduated T38, so I was pretty far down the pipeline, I still didn't know what made a good fighter pilot. I thought it was all just stick and rudder, how smoothly you landed. And you know, that's what really surprised me when I got to the CAF, is that you have to be pretty good with your hands, but then you have to be able to work the radar. You have to be able to do a SAR map if you're an F-35. You have to do all these other things, communicate to your team and make it happen. So I think what you guys are doing here is laying the groundwork for that.
I appreciate it, and you're right on. There's no intent to make pilot training easier. The intent is to make a better pilot, to fight and win the nation's wars.
Well, sir, thanks for having us out here, and I look forward to being back.
Awesome. Thanks.